My name is Marlon Anthony Bramble. I'm 34 years old.
So I'm JP D'Souza. JP stands for Joseph Pierre. I'm originally from this area.
I'm Ria.
My name is Quasi. I'm one of the residents and also one of the resident reps.
My name's Jordan Garside. I'm 25. I'm originally from Leeds. Well, Birstall. It's a small town just outside of Leeds.
My name is Crystal Aline. I'm 35 years old. I was born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. Came to the UK in 2003, which is what, 16 years ago.
My name is Jason Thompson, 28 years old. Originally grew up North London, so...
I'm Leash Capstick. I'm 20, well, I'm almost 21.
My name is Okino Lennox Watson. People call me Kane for short, because they just do. My childhood, I don't really like to talk about my childhood like that, but, sometimes you have to talk about things to get it off your head, right?
So, born in London, Tottenham, and I was brought up by my mum and dad. They separated when I was around 11, about 11, 12, so just the start of coming to a teenager.
I grew up in Tottenham, which is in North London, and family background, I'm Ugandan. My dad's half Pakistani, half Ugandan, and then my mum is half Rwandan, half Ugandan. So basically, I'm a bit of both, innit?
Best years of my life. Still up to the day, I still talk to my friends about it, because we will come home from school, and on weekends we'll play football, cricket, and even during weekdays after school we'll play all sorts of games. We didn't have internet back then, so we enjoyed the outdoors.
Grew up in and around Highgate. Moved schools a couple of times. After my mum and dad divorced, we moved to Tottenham, where my mum set up a business and bought a house.
We all grew up, kind of North London, Camden. I remember we were like one of the fewest black people in our neighborhood. Do you know what I mean? It was so rare to see another black person. It was crazy. Probably not so much so now. Do you know what I mean?
I was quite theatrical as a kid. Grew up wanting to be an actor, and I was obsessed with people like Robin Williams.
So I grew up in Jamaica, But I came to England when I was 3, and I went back to Jamaica. So it was like, I've been up and down. I've been moving up and down, I know the place.
I was a mischievous kid. I was cheeky. I was always had an answer for everything. Always wanted to know the reason why things were the way that they were. And if it didn't make sense to me, I'd have something to say about it. Always had an attitude.
I was always moving from this area, that area, out of London. Had some problems with my dad and stuff like that. Having the tension between my mom and my dad was kind of, whose side do I pick type thing.
I was never really a kid that got on with school and the system of school. I was much more of an active kid. I wanted to be practical, doing things. I'd lose attention and stuff, which created problems.
I grew up in Wood Green, mostly. We moved to Wood Green when I was 9. And I didn't really have the best childhood, to be fair.
Mum and dad broke up. They had a separation. When I was like 15, 16. Decided to go and live with my old man because I was the oldest. Again, helps mums a bit, do you know what I mean? Lived with the old man for just about a year. Had a fallout with him because I thought I knew it all. He ends up kicking me out. I ends up in a YMCA.
When my mother died in 2000, my grandmother came, my brother, because my elder brother He suggested to my grandmother that she brings my little brother, because he's the youngest. He was about 13 when my mother died. So she came and she took him. He wanted her to take both of us, but I didn't want to come because me and my grandmother, we didn't get along very well. So he came at 13, and then after my father died, he said, well, you must go, Krista, because you don't have any, adults ready to look after you here.
And then when I came here, obviously, I was a bit lost, like, with the whole kind of everything, like, around me, and I was excited, so I ran around with the wrong people. We got into a lot of, like, drama, troubles and shit, and then at 13, unfortunately, I was arrested. So, yeah, at 13.
Growing up was interesting, obviously early 90s and that, kind of moving about and whatnot. Especially like being mixed race, I got to kind of experience really good parts of being cultured, but then also the downfall. And I think that's kind of, a lot of people experience that, not just obviously of my colour, but general, I kind of got it from both sides of the fence.
I came to England to live with my dad, but my dad, he wasn't around too much, So, man, you're growing up in England, you're on the street. So they sent me back to Jamaica to live with my mum. But my mum is a poor lady, you understand? So she has no, like, hold over me and my other brothers.
My mum and dad always worked really hard, despite their differences, to keep me on, like, a straight and narrow. But for whatever reason, I got myself involved in crime and everything else.
Growing up for me was a little bit tough. I lost my father when I was about 13 years old, which sort of led me on a kind of a wild spiral for a couple of years. Just sort of trying to find myself, I guess.
I just felt like nothing was really being fair anymore, because when I was 8, my little brother and my little sister were born. I only found out about my little sister when she was actually 9 months old. That's when I found out that I had a little sister. I felt like there was more pressure on me to do things around the house. That obviously I will help out, but I felt like there was a bit more pressure, like too much pressure for me as an 8-year-old.
I was bullied the entire time. I think I changed primary schools 4 times because the bullying was that bad. I think people just didn't like me, because from when I was little, I always sort of did the whole individuality thing, so with the hair and the way I dress and all that. I think people just didn't like me because I'm one of them people that's very openly honest.
Growing up, I had to grow up very, very quickly. I held a lot of what I saw and what I felt to myself, because I just felt that was the right thing to do, and I didn't want my mum to get into trouble or me to be separated from my mum when I was growing up. So yeah, I kept a lot of it to myself.
And I turned to drink and drugs quite early on. It was a thrill, the going out. I'd go out on a Thursday and not come home till Sunday. It was like I never wanted to go home. It was always, going out reminded me of the better days.
I got arrested for GBH. A guy had been bullying my friend at school, and I did something about it. So I did a little bit of time in jail, which swore to myself within the first week there was no chance I was ever going to come back to this place.
Basically, it's either I was going down that road or I was going down this road, yeah? And this road was the right road and that one was the wrong road. But because of what I was surrounded by and the people, I was going down that road. I didn't even have an option. So I ended up going down this. I chose that. Taught me to just go stay on the straight line, and with the help from my mum, and that's that one lesson there was important, very important.
Stayed with my mum until I was about 16, and then I was on my own, independent living.
So I found myself in that situation, and it was quite difficult being in a hostel and trying to do your A-levels. Do you know what I mean? It was quite an extreme, but it was all right. I managed it. Came out with decent grades. And when I finished, I didn't go to university straight away. I started working. Do you know what I mean? I did education. I been in education pretty much all my bloody life. Since nursery, do you know what I mean? So you kind of want to take a break and work and, you know, taste a bit of life, go out, party and that. So, yeah, I gave education a break until, like, in my early 20s. I think I was, like, 24. I thought, hold on, I'm getting on a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, all my mates have graduated and that. I need to get on with this. So I then jumped back into university and then got a degree in sports science.
My grandmother had a friend, a family friend, who is a minister, and she wanted someone to come and put eye drops in her eyes, just to do that. And I ended up spending the entire time I lived in the UK living with her for the last 16 years, because she was disabled as well. So I lived and worked with her. And I lived and worked with her for the last 11 years. And she helped me get my stay and everything in London, in the UK.
I was working with a company called Dance United, which I did started when I was 17, working with kids that were very much like me, didn't get on with school or anything like that. So the company would go into schools and colleges and bring people together, and they create like a 20-minute piece.
Growing up in the area where I grew up, it was like a lot of young people depended on like youth clubs and activities outside of their home rather than being on the streets. So I thought, let me go do acting comedy workshops. So I went back to my school with my best mate basically. After that, they called me back to be an ambassador, and that's when a young ambassador. So I was there for like a year and a half at the Prince's Trust as a young ambassador, just basically going around talking my story and giving back kind of to these big organisations and letting them know why they should fund young people projects and stuff like this.
Well, I met my son's dad, ended up getting pregnant and having my child at 18.
From when I was about 7, I always wanted to be a vet, because my house was like a zoo. We had every animal, you name it, we had it. And I don't know, there's something about animals that wasn't the same about people. So animals don't judge you, they don't treat you like shit, they don't do anything. So I was like, I want to be a vet. I want to help people look after animals that become part of their family. What happened was, because I'm dyslexic, the college didn't help with it at all. So the practical side was distinctions, 100%. They couldn't say nothing about it. But the written side, I couldn't do it. It's too much work and my brain couldn't handle all the stuff they wanted to put into it, so I failed and I couldn't do animal care anymore.
I got a call leaving college and I got offered a job in sales. But with the sales comes the success and comes a thing. I was quite egotistical, you know, you kind of get put in a power of position, you know, your kind of expenses and trips and drinks and events, and I just let it all go to my head. And it kept going to my head, and then every time the problems from my childhood would resurface, I would drink them out.
I had the support from my son's dad and so on, but then a lot of things happened, so that's when I became the victim of domestic violence. In those 3 years I also was sexually abused, and yeah, like I turned to alcohol as a cover-up of pain, and then yeah, so my life went downhill. My son was removed from my care temporarily, and yeah.
Ended up losing a friend to street violence, street crime and that. Ended up going and becoming a youth worker, which led me on to becoming a teaching assistant and potentially owning my own dance company, which me and my friends sort of run at the moment.
I did leave to better myself, because I did feel like, I mean, it was meant to be a 2-week holiday, but I felt like I was away from all the madness that was going on here. And while I was over there, like 2 weeks after I was meant to come back, I was already in school over there in New York, and I was working. When I came back, it was weird, because the last time I remembered hugging my mum properly was when I was about 7, when she dropped me off for school one time, because soon after that is when we started to go to school by ourselves. So when I came back from Antigua, because I went straight from New York to Antigua, when I came back. I gave Mum a hug. It felt weird. Like, it felt weird to give my own mother a hug, and it really shouldn't. But it's a lot better now. I can give her a hug more freely now. So it's good now.
Me never go to school, you know. Me come to England and get certain qualification, CSCS card, and all and something there. Me say, when me come to England, me say England is a place of opportunity. You understand? I'm come here, I'm a father, send police to my auntie house. You understand? Arrest me. And me there. This is how me end up at YMCA homeless.
I ended up at the YMCA because in 2017 2017 I became very ill. As a result, I got signed off of work and could no longer afford the rent on my flat. I also have a 12-year-old son. At the time, he was 11. And I had to ask my mum to take care of him, which she, thank God, agreed to, whilst I get myself sorted out. So I've been at the YMCA since the 5th of February 2017. 18. God, I don't know what it is with the years. Yeah, 2018. Coming up to a year now, so looking to move on very, very soon.
I was sofa surfing for a while, for almost coming to a year, just up and down people, different people's. Lucky for me, like I had quite a few friends and that, and like obviously that had places, but some of them it only had rooms because we were all still young at the time, innit? And we're still working, and they're trying to do their thing, I'm trying to do my thing. So like, yeah, I was sofa surfing for a while, so homeless more or less, man. I was just up and down, up and down, up and down. I didn't have nothing. Every time I had to buy new clothes, I didn't even think. Lucky I had a job at the time. Like, that's why I was doing the Princess Trust. But they saw that it took a toll on me, because there was just like, some days I'll wake up and I'll just go, and I just look like a piece of, like, just don't look alive, don't look happy. And just like, normally you're smiling, you got this great smile, why we don't see it no more? And I'm like, well, I'm going through a lot, but I was afraid to tell anyone anything. I was held back a lot, do you know what I mean? Due to just me being me at the time. But they saw it and they said, we need to get you somewhere. And then through like the help with the Princess Trust, that's how they got me here. Because they work with a lot of like young people that are homeless, so they get them into shelters, and they work with quite a lot of organisations. So yeah, I had to go to a few, like, when you just have to go in the morning and go get some food in like central London, Old Street, like stuff like that. And went to Alone in London, and then they got me referred to here through the Princess Trust. So I'm really grateful for the Princess Trust.
Got arrested on a Friday. Saturday I did court. Saturday night I was in prison.
I recently came out of almost a 5-year relationship with my ex-partner, and yeah, things just went pear-shaped. Got a mortgage together, got a child together, and typical relationship breakdown. Found myself being homeless.
The person who I was living with, she one day I left her and went out. I went to college and came back, and she was on the floor. So I rang the ambulance and they came out and they took her to the hospital, and she ended up in a wheelchair. So she needed more care. So she needed two persons at one time to take care of her. And that's how I happened to be, because I couldn't do it. It was just too much. And that's how I happened to be in the YMCA.
Then how this whole journey began, taking class in London and finding different styles and stuff that I enjoy, pushing myself. Then along the way I got into a good commercial dance college, and my girlfriend fell pregnant with my baby boy. So I had to drop out and go to work, and yeah, was living at her parents for a bit. The situation there wasn't very good. Her parents weren't amazing. You know, I was working 50, 60-hour weeks in a restaurant, coming home, doing the night shift with my son when he was born, up until 7 o'clock, sometimes in the morning, and then up at 10 to get ready to go to work again. I'd be getting phone calls saying that her mum and dad have kicked off at her for such and such, in floods of tears, and I ended up having a mental breakdown because of the stress of it all, not resting, baby. Everyone just at each other and not being able to do anything about it, feeling a bit powerless to support. Ended up in hospital, and then I ended up here. Kind of been on an upward, slow trajectory, so to say, along the way.
So I kind of pretty much walked away with nothing. Do you know what I mean? It was I had to pack all my stuff and put in storage. It was a bloody nightmare. But hey, you live to fight another day. Do you know what I mean?
You get to a certain age and you're like, you have to want something for yourself, because my life has always revolved around my mum, how my mum is and how my siblings are, and making sure that they have somebody that's there that loves them 24/7. So I was like, my mental health was getting really bad, so I was like, I gotta do it for me. I gotta want something for myself for once rather than everybody else. I gotta learn independence and sort of become the person I'm supposed to be. So the next day, my brother and my sister gave me money and I moved straight in here.
Yeah, it's been a really amazing turn of events. Like my life, I was facing homelessness. You know, I had a friend take me in, and through my own selfish choices of licking my wounds and not getting up and going back into it, I ended up not being able to afford my rent there. You know, and not getting kicked out because I was given the benefit of the doubt for long enough, and I got so entwined in playing the victim, it brought me to my knees, and I ended up facing homelessness. And this place has given me the opportunity to re-establish and look at my life, because my life as a whole was a mess. Disconnected from family, disconnected from friends, disconnected from myself. And with that, you know, I've reconnected with friends. I'm reconnected with family. And yeah, I've reconnected with myself, which is, I think, the best. Yeah, man.
So at the time when me a child in England, the whole of we used to live good. You know, we used to live loving. But when we come back here, it's like everybody I hate that person, family I hate one another. So it doesn't make sense, you know. So I'm at the house, my auntie's house, and a police that me say come for me and arrested me. And from there I been homeless. You know, because they give you bail, saying you can't go to this house, you can't go to that house. Where you supposed to go? You understand? So I'm there on the street. I sleep in a hospital. Couple nights, couple weeks, man.
The day that he actually went to my mum's, I got attacked by 3 guys and 1 girl. So I left that flat as well. So yeah, from then, the day that he went, I was also homeless. I was literally like sofa surfing. I was just here, there, everywhere. I also went out of London as well and decided I wanted to live up there, but then I had to come back for my son's sake. So yeah, from there to here was literally just a lot of impulsive decisions that I made from April to August coming to the YMCA. But it was the whole situation with my child that made me come back. I want to do everything that I can for him.
I ended up going back and living with my mum for a little bit, but then there was different in-house politics with that, which ended up making me homeless. And because obviously I didn't have a job, I wasn't able to go and like find a place to rent or anything like that. I ended up being forced to come to this place, the YMCA.
Honestly, my mum didn't think I was coming back, so she's got a 2-bedroom flat while I was gone, and because the council was getting onto my mum's case about me and my brother sharing a room, I had to go to the council and just try and see if I could get somewhere, and they put me here.
she said to me, we can move you back into London, but you're not going to get a house share straight away. It's more looking like a hostel. And I said, look, I don't care. I need to be near my boy, so let's do it. And yeah, here I am.
If somebody had told me a year and a half ago that I would have laughed in their face. Do you know what I mean? But saying that, I mean, not to put down on anybody who's in a situation or people that, you know, but it goes to show that things can happen at any moment. And, you know, like for 1 minute you could be up there, next minute, do you know what I mean? And it's just learning, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You try your best to not to fall into certain categories or not to make certain mistakes and whatnot. But if it happens, isn't it? It's just life.
So I don't particularly know where I want to go or what I want to do. All I know is that for the time being, I got my space and a bunch of people that give a shit about what happens so that I can better myself and get myself better before I decide to go off into the world and do me. So I think I will stay here a while, but not too long, because I need the support that the staff give me, because I genuinely don't think I can actually go off on my own without having a mental breakdown.
I think it's a time for people to drop preconceptions. People fall on hardships and people will always fall on hardships. People's hardships may not be the same as yours, but to judge people for where they live, I think it's like, you know, you hear from someone's from Broadwater Farm, you're like, you know, your first initial instinct is to be like, oh, but then it's like, hang on, it's just somewhere to live, in it. Where you live doesn't define who you are as a person, doesn't define your personality, your career aspirations, or what you're actually doing with your life. Just because of a select few amount of people that choose to live their life in the way that they do doesn't mean that just because you live there, that's what you do.
I've come to the thing, I'm never going to be entirely fixed. It's an ongoing process. Things break me every day. You know, like you go out down the high street and it's like, at one point I was on a salary where I could afford things, you know, like, and you see families on the high street. Like, the saddest thing for me is seeing parents with their kids. And I think I wish I could go back to when me and my mum used to be really tight, you know, like I'd go everywhere with her. And it's just like, I think when my life was good, I think why couldn't I have, you know, taken, like, why can't I take her down the high street? You know, like, why can't my mum and I go for coffee on a Sunday? You know, and it's like, we can't because of me.
To be quite honest, the people here make the place what it is. And a lot of people think that from the outside this place is something that it's not. But inside, there's a lot of people in here that have potential. There's a lot of people in here. I think it's just about not recognising where it is you're living, but recognising the people that's around you and making this place what it is.
Don't be judging people by the way they look or where they live, because, I mean, I came from a beautiful 2-bedroom flat right on Hampstead Heath to a 1-room in a hostel, and it's like people knowing me from living here might think of me completely differently if they saw the way I lived in Hampstead. Do you know what I mean? So I think that it's really, yeah, it's been a good eye opener in that aspect, that it's given me that sight to not judge people by what they look like and where they live.
England nice, but you have to know how to live. You have to live a good life in England, man. You understand? You have to live a good life in England, brother. I'm trying my best to live a good life. Everywhere I'm going, eh?
Life don't give up and don't stop, because at your lowest you can become so high before you even know it. Like, and that's why I'm grateful for everything I get. Like, and because I've lived that side of life, that I have to be grateful. It's not a choice. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to. So yeah, like, proper homeless. Like, I was living on like floors and shit. Like, mattresses just laid down on that for me. sofas, sleeping on leather sofas where you can't even fucking sleep. Do you know what I mean? All sweaty and shit. It's like, oh my God, you wake up in the morning, you have a shower, end up going, but you look like you ain't had no sleep. You can't even hide it. And that's the deepest of it, because when you are homeless, some people say, yeah, but it's easy to hide, but you can't hide it. Do you know what I mean? You can't get up and you ain't got shit, and then go to a job and then act like you got everything, or you're alright, because it's gonna show in your face, and it showed in my face. So
I was one of those people who look back on years now and say I should have listened to my mother and father, because they always used to say, take your education. And I said, well, what's the point? It doesn't really do you anything in life, to be honest. But I wish I listened, because I wouldn't have been in this situation now. So I wish I listened to my mother and father when they said that to me. I just enjoyed my school days. We just had fun, all of us. So, but I wish I'd listened. I didn't listen back then.